Hello. Having worked for ESPN for so long, what is it about the company that has kept you there for so long?
Well, mostly the fact that they would have me. it's really been, that's really the crucial factor. Um, Look, I've been very lucky. I've been there for a quarter century. I've been able to do the kind of work that I've always hoped I would be able to do at a place that has tremendous reach, tremendous resources, working with terrific colleagues, smart bosses, smart editors, and cameramen and producers. It's really been it's been a situation you could only really dream of. So it's really the question is better. Why would they want me? Because it's a great place to be.
I don't think that anyone would say that, but since you've been there for so long, what is your opinion? How do you feel about the recent layoffs?
Oh, it's heartbreaking. I mean, you don't want to see anybody lose their job. You don't want to see people you've worked with for decades lose their jobs. It's a sad situation, and I'm afraid it reflects some of the changing realities of the business in which we work, cord cutting, other realities. The businesses change, and we experience for so long, you could call it even unbridled growth. We're just not accustomed to something like this. Or I shouldn't say that. There have been, we weren't for a long time, and then 2009 there was a round of layoffs. I think it was again in 2015 and earlier this year, and it just it breaks your heart. Unfortunately, those are the realities of the business we're in.
Exactly. You spoke about the many of changes and many of improvements that have been going on. In your experience with the improvements, what is the hardest part adapting to the new technologies?
It's it's funny. I'm not the guy who can talk about how technology is changing things or the future of this. Or I have the sense that any layman has, based on the way that I consume things. Using your app and not sitting directly in front of the TV in your living room and all that kind of stuff. But I try to focus on the work, and the work that we do at E60, is really, the platform almost doesn't matter. It's the same approach now as it was 10 years ago when we started, when nobody was watching TV basically on their phone or their iPad. It's about finding stories, doing them well, enlightening your audience, and hoping they find it.
The subject matter you usually deal with is particularly controversial. How do you get people to feel comfortable answering your questions?
Well, sometimes you do and sometimes you don't. Sometimes they're not going to be comfortable and, they're going to squirm, and that's fine too. But, when you're speaking generally about, people talking about their life stories, that kind of stuff, I think you just, part of it is establishing trust. Part of it is method, but part of it is just kind of like who you are. I mean, if you're not someone who's, I think, genuinely interested in other human beings and their stories, that's going to be apparent. You have to put aside everything, in your own life, or whatever period of time that is that you're sitting down on the story or whatever, and put yourself in the shoes of the subject you're speaking to. You have to, I think, and not in a phony way, but in a real way, think of things, try to look at things from their perspective and make them comfortable. And also they perceive when you're kind of full of it and you're trying to be cutesy or something like that. So I try to be direct, and I think usually people appreciate that.
Exactly. Well, one last question.
Yes.
With your expertise with the intersection of sports and society, how do you feel about many people considering ESPN maybe too liberal nowadays?
I know that that's a narrative out there. I really don't feel that to be the case. I mean, when you're in the building and you know everybody there and you know that there is a wide variety of political thought, I know my colleague Bob Lee, who's the guy I've worked with the most and the longest, the most closely for the last quarter century, feels a little bit differently, that he thinks it's just, a product of being in a in the environment in the Northeast, a lot of people, it's a more blue part of the country, and that's where we happen to be. And people in the media, for the most part, tend to be there. But I don't find a bias. I find a persistent effort to be fair and to look at things from both sides of the issue.
Okay, thank you very much.